So Trudeau just finished up his throne speech, and let me tell you, it is an absolute failure. It is a massive disappointment to the Canadian public, and certainly to me as an opposition member who is here on behalf of Canadians from coast to coast. So, number one, the first question we should be asking is, did Trudeau really shut down Parliament for this? Remember, when he prorogued Parliament, he said, and I'll quote, I'll read it to you. He said, "It's important for Canadians to have a clear idea of my plan." Okay, so that would insinuate then that he has a concrete plan that he's putting forward. Now, you'll recall that he canceled committees through prorogation, and that Ethics Committee and Finance Committee were hot on the trail, gathering evidence, putting it before Canadians, showing that Trudeau was in fact guilty of an ethics violation in a massive way with the We Charity. Now, this, of course, this scandal was doing some damage to him. His numbers were going down in the polls, and certainly he didn't want that. And so he hit this big red button called prorogation. And so it halted Parliament. It put a stop to everything. It erases it. It gives him a clean slate. Now, he did that with the excuse that it was for Canadians, that he, due to COVID, needed to put forward a brand new vision, brand new steps for Canadians, a relaunch plan of sorts for our economy. And so he said, we need some time, we'll put it together and we'll deliver it on September 23rd. Now, you'll remember that he did this back on August 18th. Interestingly enough, on August 19th, there were some really essential documents that were due to the Ethics Committee. We never saw those because, again, he prorogued Parliament. So we have to ask the question then, is this speech worth all the hype? Is it worth pushing the big red button? Did Trudeau really stop Parliament because he needed to work with his team in order to come up with a plan for the sake of Canadians? That's the question we should be asking. And I would contend that that is not at all the case. I would say there's no plan here. No plan. I would actually say that this is simply a regurgitation or a rehashing of promises that the Liberals have made year after year after year for 5 years now, and simply have not been able to deliver on. So they thought, hey, let's write it in a new speech. Maybe if we give it some new buzzwords, put a new face to it, maybe, play some good music in the background, Canadians will buy it. New plan. In addition to that, it was just this repackaging effort. But really, at the end of the day, we don't see leadership, we don't see vision, and we don't see a layout of concrete plans that are really going to help Canadians find their footing, feel safe and secure, and be able to make a comeback. No plan. In fact, this is interesting. He didn't even really address the pandemic. You would think that if he prorogued Parliament in the name of COVID-19 and needing to put forward a new relaunch plan, as he branded it, you would think that he would acknowledge the fact that, Canada is impacted by COVID-19 and that perhaps there should be some solid steps taken in order to deliver on safety and security for Canadians and an economic recovery effort. But there really were just a bunch of buzzwords used, and again, no concrete plan. So that's a problem. But I would say this, I would say that it is simply a glorified spending announcement. Lots of money. And even there, a lot of it is the re-announcement of money that already has been spent or already was promised. Where's all this money coming from? We're talking about almost $400 billion. Does Trudeau understand that money doesn't grow on trees? I mean, basic economic theory. One of the things that he said in his speech from the throne, or that he had the GG say, was that government, I quote, will go into debt so that you don't have to. Government will go into debt so that you don't have to. Well, where does government get its money? Well, government gets its money from you. So if you're giving money to the government so that the government can recycle it and give it back to you, then that means you're going to have to be taxed. And if you're going to have to be taxed, that's a problem. So really, if the government's going to go into debt, so are you. Or you're going to miss out on programs, because that's the other option. Either tax Canadians to death or cut back on essential services and programs that we love as Canadians. Those are the only two options. Government can't create money, and it certainly doesn't grow on trees. So he keeps saying this. He keeps saying, and I quote, that this is an opportunity to build back better. Really? So putting debt on the backs of our children is building back better? Killing the energy industry is building back better? Ignoring what farmers do for Canadians and the world is building back better? And ignoring the fact that we are a unified country from coast to coast, or at least should strive to function as one, is building back better? I don't think so. But these are the things that happened within this throne speech. Unfortunately, it continued to sow seeds of division. It didn't provide a unifying vision for this country at all. And it didn't answer the essential questions that we have as Canadians in terms of our future, in terms of a hope, in terms of putting forward a plan, in terms of resilience, in terms of economic recovery. So the question is then, what's better? I mean, he prorogued Parliament for this. I'd say not a thing. Not a thing. Nothing came out of this that we didn't already know. No great direction or vision was granted. No plan, no action equals no leadership. Without those things, it equals zero confidence for me as a member of Parliament to vote in favor of this throne speech. When it comes time to do so, I will be voting no. And as a member of the Canadian public, I would encourage you to stand up and to use your voice as well. Take 1 minute to send one word to your Liberal member of Parliament, or a Liberal member of Parliament next to your riding perhaps, and tell them no. 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 We don't agree to debt. We don't agree to this so-called plan for Canada. We deserve better.